It's public speaking is labeled as one of the top 5 fears in the world for after dying and heights and darkness and spiders and things like that. If you have big goals, big dreams, to be a change maker, to be a CEO, a CTO, a CIO, a CMO, you're gonna need to be able to communicate with your staff, your suppliers, the media, clients, everybody. And that's so key. So learning to speak your truth, learning to love the voice that you were given is going to do more to enhance your career than anything else. That's what I say. And before you ask
Fantastic.
me, yes, introverts can learn to be great speakers.
Yeah. Welcome back to our Freedom to Learn podcast. My name is Gurumurthy Yeleswarapu, and I'm the founder and CEO of Silicon Valley for You. And also, we launched a new startup called nexgenklick in the recent past. And so we are based out of Silicon Valley, obviously. And so I bring this particular podcast is targeted towards youth to make them relevant to the world, especially these days, last year or so, with the way things are evolving around AI. It's not only the technology in general about life skills. So this is the target audiences. We bring powerful guests into our program to bring content, and keep listening, and subscribe to this channel so that you'll get a bunch of these podcasts your way. So today I have tremendous pleasure of having Chelsey Baker, who I met at a public speaking event, and but basically she's a renowned public speaking and UK's top business pitch expert, and she's also a CEO and founder of National Mentoring Day. She's going to talk about that. It's the largest celebration of mentoring in the world, which takes place on 27th October every year, with over 250,000 organizations taking part. Impressive. So she also worked with royalty and government celebrity CEOs. In fact, she was here when we met. She was part of a bunch of us in the room were CEOs, and she was also at Cisco and everything. And a bunch of business owners, empowering them with authentic public speaking, media, and business pitching skills. She also has a bunch of awards: Excellence in Enterprise Mentoring Award at BAFTA, Influential Women of the Year, Visionary Women Serving Humanity, and the list goes on. And maybe we need a separate podcast just for that. So without any further ado, Chelsey, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Guru. Absolutely wonderful to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, like I said, right, this is targeted towards youth. So the hope is that we all live through different paths, and then had certain success in different walks of lives. So idea is to bring that, package that, and then bring that back to them, and hopefully they can learn from you today, and some of the accomplishments you had with all these awards and some of the skills you possess. So let's start with how your journey started as a young child, and what prompted you to be here wherever you are with public speaking and a bunch of other organizations you're associated with.
Thank you. Great question. So I'll probably have to fast forward very quickly because we haven't got time for the whole life story. But
Yes.
let's relating it, because I love sharing. I love sharing my skills, what's got me to where I am today with others to learn. That's the beauty of mentoring. So, how did I end up being the UK's top public speaking expert, meeting you in Silicon Valley, training CEOs on the power of their business pitch and their voice? Because when I was a young person at school, I was invited to narrate a play, a school play. And I was like, wow, there's so many different ways to say and narrate this play. And I realized that if I just kept very flat, very boring tone, nothing really happened. But if I raised the pitch of my voice, then people seemed more interested. I sounded more passionate. And that's where I understood the power of the voice, and how you feel also reflects on others, and that has an impact. So fast forward, I wanted to be an actress. I managed to do a couple of James Bond movies, which was
Yes.
fantastic. I gave Piers Brosnan his mission statement in an MI5 building, which was filmed at Pinewood Studios. And I realized I wasn't very good learning lines, like loads and loads of lines. I couldn't really, it wasn't my thing. I didn't feel comfortable. It wasn't my thing. So, wanting a career in television, I became a television producer, ended up with my own show, and it was very successful. Everything went well. And then one day we had a presenter coming into the show, and the rest is history. She couldn't do the show. I had to step in. I was an accidental presenter. That's where I learned to use my voice to engage, to entice, to make an impact. And that's, the rest is history. And then I became an international speaker, speaking all over the world, helping others to realize the potential of their voice.
Fantastic. So for those who follow Bollywood, is a fun
Oh
fact. She
no.
she acted in the movie Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, if I'm right, with Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan. And so
And
it's
Hrithik
not a
Roshan.
small gig. It's not a small gig. I mean, they're the top stars probably in the world, one of the best. So I myself is a big time fan of Shah Rukh Khan, just so you know. So now, so fast forward, like you said. So now, I'm a big believer in that too. But you are at the pinnacle of that. So why do you think public speaking is such an important skill for young folks?
In so many ways, learning to communicate. We wouldn't be here today if I wasn't able to speak, if you hadn't learned to do podcasts and learn to communicate. So it improves your confidence beyond measures. And I think for young people, it's so important because you become seen as confident and good communicators with employers. It improves your relationships, not only within the workplace, but personally, so being able to speak up really does a lot to improve your career. It opens up opportunities, networking opportunities. That's where a lot of people struggle. They enter a room, they don't know how to say who they are, what they want, what they're looking for. And that can really be debilitating. So when you learn to just be free with your voice and learn to love the voice that you were given because God gave it to you, then, that's where the beauty really happens. And it's about, for young people, how can you share your innovative ideas or your passion or your vision with others if you don't speak it? So learning to speak your truth, learning to love the voice that you were given, is going to do more to enhance your career than anything else. That's what I say. And
Fantastic.
before you ask me, yes, introverts can learn to be great speakers.
Yes.
I fly to Silicon Valley. I've worked with many introverts. The answer is yes, yes, yes. They can become very good speakers.
Fantastic. See I've been on both sides, and I know the feeling, especially a bunch of folks that come from non-English speaking countries to English speaking countries. There is a tendency to have that fear,
Yeah.
inhibitions and whatnot. I wanted the audience to hear from you rather than me, and I'm fully agree with you that at the end of the day, I do preach to some of the folks that I speak to. If you don't communicate, if you can't, clearly state who you are, people don't know who you. I mean, they may not give you opportunities because they don't know who you are. So bottom line is you have to develop the ability to communicate effectively. Many times, like I said, I come from English is not my first language or nor my mother tongue. Many times people think that, oh, I don't speak that language, so as a result, I won't be able to I won't be able to become a good communicator. I always say that yes, language is important for sure, but just language alone won't do it. There are a lot of native English speaking folks, in this country, in US. They don't say much, like you said, introverts. Those are the labels we come up with. Bottom line is, just language alone doesn't do good. So you just have to have that ability, or I don't know how to put it. Basically, just a way of living or way of having a skill and to communicate. And so it's
It
very
is a
important.
skill.
It's a
Yeah.
skill, and it kind of compensates some of your deficiencies if there are any. I mean, so sometimes, not always. Um, so now, with that said, right, I want them to hear from you what kind of challenges you typically see, especially young folks, like you said. We come up with all these labels, right? Either shy or he or she, or introverts, or they just don't like talk. All these different labels we come up with, where they just find it hard to,
Mm.
even say hello, or sometimes to, anybody, right? I do. I Once in a while I tell some of my folks that, hey, just smile. Okay, that's all. Just don't say hello, but smile. Okay, so don't be too serious. I worry that you have some problems. So, so long story short, what challenges do you typically see, because you are in this profession and you understand these things most probably better than most of the people in this planet?
Well, there's so many challenges that you're not alone. Everybody seems to be facing public speaking fears and challenges. Oh, the statistics of how many people struggle with public speaking anxiety are huge. It's public speaking is labeled as one of the top 5 fears in the world for after dying and heights and darkness and spiders and things like that. So, I think the first thing is to realize that it's really normal. I just saw a photograph of me today at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. I was putting it on a presentation, and thousands of people in the audience. It was just a really big technology crowd. And it's daunting, but nerves are normal. It shows that you care. So there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just like feeling that fear and doing it anyway, because that's when you'll see the growth. So the challenges that people really struggle with are accents. Everybody's got an accent. I met you and I'd flown from London, England to Silicon Valley. I had an accent. I was the odd one out. Everyone else was speaking with Indian accents and American accents, and there was the Brit speaking about tomatoes and not tomatoes, and water and not water. So
Yeah, what?
I had the accent, and yet that didn't stop me getting the jobs in Silicon Valley. So we all have an accent, and it's so, so important, whatever age you are, to realize that this is your voice. Love it, own it, nurture it. We can all learn to speak slower, pausing, with more tone and more impact in our voice, because our voice shows how we're feeling. Imagine it's very late at night here in England. Imagine if I'd have rocked up to the podcast and said, "Hi Guru, it's really good to be here today." You wouldn't be feeling that I was,
Yeah.
a public speaking expert. So it really does raise your confidence, and I encourage all younger people, students and everyone, to start to be at peace with your voice, with your accent, because suppressing your voice, it kind of weakens you, it erodes your self-esteem, and there's a lot of people say to me that I don't feel worthy of being heard. I have nothing important to say. No, no, no. That is just limiting beliefs coming in. What evidence do you have to prove that that's true? Everyone has a voice and they deserve to be heard. And that's the key thing. So please remember that everyone deserves to be heard. Love that accent that you were given, and just love to nurture it, because it's going to see your confidence grow and open up opportunities for you.
Absolutely. So, okay, so now I just wanted to get some maybe tips to so bunch of young folks, both who thinks they have accents, and there are folks that think they don't have accent. They're born and brought up here. So I deal with a lot of college students. The point of freedom to learn is to just don't settle for bunch of structures and programs that are set out by colleges, and then think that you're ready for the industry, because the industry is very different, not necessarily technology, anything for that matter. And a lot of life skills you must learn. And one of them obviously is, being fit, being mentally fit, physically fit, knowing finance and understanding, we call it usually, common sense, the buzzwords and the leadership and this, that. So all these things you must learn is the point of our program. And that's what my company is built around. So I do see lots of folks, I don't want to just blame it on Gen Z. I think I think I can see that the huge difference between sort of our time to this time is these guys are drowned in phones. There's social media and phones and so many texting, WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever. I am, this, that. Long story short, we back in the day, if I want to talk to somebody, I have to talk to that guy. That's it. Guy or girl. There's nothing in between. There was not even a phone, let alone cell phone. So now the world is at a very different place where they just prefer to text and not talk. Right? Phone is not used for phone actually. Phone is used for everything else lately. So as a result, they are kind of tuned to not express, and some of the ones that are on the borderline to be extroverts, kind of, in my opinion, they kind of became introverts. They kind of fell on the other side of the fence. That's my opinion. That's my observation, rather. Like, how do you get, what are the tips to get them going? Let's say maybe, hey, you know what? If you don't want to talk, if you want to practice how to talk, just sit in the room, look at the mirror, and just present yourself. Or are there any other ways we can get them out of the shell to the other side of, things like what we did,
Yeah. Well, we need to provide these role models of people who are speakers. So every time I go and deliver a keynote speech, wherever it is in the world, I empower people to go out and to develop their speaking skills. And that has a ripple effect. I am a CEO, a global leader in mentoring. I couldn't have done that. Share my vision with governments, and then that word, that message, that mission, my mission to make mentoring accessible to everyone by creating National Mentoring Day, that spread. I had to speak to people in the press, I had to speak to governments, and then I had to communicate. So the tips are, if you have big goals, big dreams, to be a change maker, to be a leader, to be a CEO, a CTO, a CIO, a CMO, you're going to need to be able to communicate with your staff, your suppliers, the media, clients, everybody. And that's so key. So if you have dreams, you're going to need to learn that public speaking, or you're going to need to learn to communicate. So first of all, we have to break that down to acceptance. Okay, a lot of people get scared about speaking, and it's because of that vulnerability. They're not confident in who they are. So first we have to decide our values, who we are, what we stand for, and start to put together our 60-second elevator pitch. That can really help, because today we all wear so many roles and so many hats like you. So who are you today? We have
Yeah.
to then just write it on a piece of paper. You can get a little postcard. Write who you are. If somebody says, oh, so what are your hobbies? Know what your hobbies are. Know where you like to travel, and be able to share what you stand for. So I think that's a key, is working on your elevator pitch. Practice in front of the mirror. I know that I prefer this side of my face
Yeah.
whenever I'm being filmed. How you show up, you can present yourself better. Everyone can present themselves better, because when you dress better, you feel better. You
Feel
can
better.
learn to see. The best thing, you say they all love the phones. Get the phone, speak and say your elevator pitch into your mobile phone, play it back, and see if you would network or invest in you. So listen
Right.
to how you sound. Are you flat? Are you boring? Are you feeling tired? Do you keep saying, yeah, my name is, yeah, Chelsey, yeah, or yeah, Chelsey Baker. See the tone, see the pace,
Yeah.
see any passion.
Yes.
Who
Yes.
I work with a lot of people where they are seeking to pitch for millions of pounds, or millions of dollars, should I say, of investment. So I'm a pitching expert. I train people to pitch to real investors for real big money. And if you are going to present to investors, you have to get them to believe in your idea, and that you can deliver on the words that you're saying. Okay. So use the mobile phone and think, would somebody find my way of communication, my speaking, interesting? Or could I ramp up the volume? Are you too quiet? Or are you too loud? Look
Yeah.
at that phone. These are all things you students and young people can do for free on your mobile phone.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that national memory. Mentorship day, sir, right? So on October 27th. So you're also the CEO of that organization. So the question is, if somebody wants to register as a young person, college student, is it possible? Number one, if it is, then what are the ways to just Google it and then sign up?
Yeah, well, National Mentoring Day is a beautiful concept. So it's towards the end of the year. You have the
Right.
4th of July, we have Christmas, and there's
Oh,
many
I
other
see.
celebrations. So it's
Right.
nice. The 27th of October falls towards the end of the year. We support mentors, mentees, and mentoring programs. Now, our mission was to make mentoring accessible to everyone. There are hundreds of thousands of mentoring programs out there in the world. And the call to action is that everybody mentors one person
I
on
see.
or around the day. So you can, colleges and schools and universities, they have mentoring programs. Communities have mentoring programs. Workplaces have mentoring programs. So, you can get involved and say, yeah, I'm looking for a mentor. You can use that on social media. You can take part in a mentoring program. And that's the big call to action. And all year round, we promote mentoring stories and impact to raise awareness on the benefits of mentoring. So you would know there's a lot of corporate mentoring programs on there. I heard your other guest at Google. Google has mentoring programs. The majority of the tech companies in Silicon Valley, they have mentoring programs.
Yes.
This is
Yes. Yeah.
mainly for the employees. But what I'm saying is that every person mentors one person, then that ripple effect goes all over the world. Because if you've been mentored, the statistics show that you then go on to mentor others as well. If you've been mentored, you then mentor. So that's
Yes.
the beautiful thing. And of course, It's that humanitarian call to action, because if we all look out for our younger generation, that reverse mentoring even, then the world will be a lot happier place.
100%. Just to add to what you said, in fact, like you said, my company has a mentorship program where we call it continuous learning. So you must have a mentor. You must also mentor someone. Meaning,
Beautiful.
like, so yeah, as you learn, you bring that to the next generation, right? So it's like you're bridging. That's how humanity evolved. But the point of this continuous learning model is, with all due respect to education institutions or the general structure of education anywhere in the world, doesn't make it a point to have this. In other words, if you don't
Mm.
have a mentor, you're not going to graduate. If you
Yep.
don't have a mentee, you're not going to graduate. They don't enforce that. So it's sort of optional. If you find it, you're lucky, or you have the vision, you're a smart guy, you figure it out. If you don't, you're on your own. So long story short, so what we are trying to do is we kind of facilitate that through our immersive programs. So in fact, I tell everybody, when you mentor someone, you really learn. Until
Hmm.
that point, you think you know, but when you really start mentoring, then in real time, there will be questions. There will be a lot of other, other ideas, come up, and if you are ready to answer those in real time, you're doing well. If you don't, then you should mentor someone or many to get it to the point where you really learn, whatever that is, whatever the subject is. So now, the reason I'm asking the question is, are there any channels with you and the kind of things that you are doing where it's all purely for youth? I mean, obviously, you deal with a lot of, you know, successful business people. There is that portion, right? There is a portion where younger folks, to get them out of what they are. And, for instance, if you go and tell some of the college students I deal with, you have to understand how to pitch. The guy in his mind, he thinks, oh God, oh, I don't have to pitch anytime soon because I'm going to work for some company. I don't have to worry about all that. We'll see when time comes, right? That's general. So what I am at least trying very hard to get them out of that shell. That's why we assign a mentee. There is a mentor. When they mentor, they get paid. We pay them to become mentors. So there is a motivation for them to do a good job. So if mentee doesn't like you, you don't get paid. So bottom line is, take this seriously is the message. So like something like that, or in a different format, whatever it may be. If you have any programs, I'll be happy to bring a bunch of these guys, to work with you, or work with your programs if there are any.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many mentoring programs now. It's just beautiful. So we will have to get you to take part on the 27th of October.
Yes, I'm in.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Mine is easy. Yes, go ahead, please.
yeah. So, if somebody is looking and thinking, yeah, I don't have a mentor, then they can reach out. Obviously, your place seems like a great place because you already have the mentors and mentees in place. But as for people thinking, oh, I don't need to pitch, that's far off in my career. Every day you need to pitch. You need to pitch if you want something in a grocery store. You need to pitch. You
Correct.
need to
Yeah.
pitch. Um, even in colleges, and I lecture at a few universities. I've mentored over 1,000 16 to 25-year-olds, and I also work with 8 to 12-year-olds. So I've really mentored a lot of young people. And the biggest gift you can do is embrace your communication style, because otherwise, this is what makes you become braver. It gives you more courage. Once you start to just speak to a few more people and do a few more little things to get you outside of your comfort zone, then, that's where your voice and everything could really change. So, National Mentoring Day exists to profile organizations that have a mentoring program, which is yours, you know? So Google,
Okay.
Meta, Forbes, whatever, they have mentoring programs. Anyone with a mentoring program comes together on the 27th of October. They share the impact, case studies, success stories that have been achieved throughout the mentoring program. And that's where it's a global, worldwide celebration of mentoring. And that's where if someone is struggling, they can reach out to their community. There's many, many community mentoring programs and programs like yours. So I hope that's answered your question.
Fantastic. Oh, 100%. Yes. And so, yeah, so I think I think you kind of answered some of my follow-on questions on that. The bunch of organizations, let's say Google, boom, like it's quite a few. Um, um, I guess so. My passion, as I think we discussed when you were in Bay Area last time, is to bridge the gap. Right? People invest quite a bit of their lives, good life, but in 20 some years, first 20 years into something called education. And once you get out, many times I hear from all these students, I really don't know what I want to do. Or, and some don't even say a word, and you don't know. And then parents reach out to us, and in some cases, we talk to the parents, not with the kids, and, kind a lot of quite a few things are happening. I want to talk to you about the platform we built around this to give you, it's like a companion for a young student to give a direction towards what their goals are. If they don't have goals, it will set the goals for them based on their accomplishments of both extracurricular activities and, coursework and everything. So, the idea is to, have an understanding of actually how world operates while you're still in school. Have a sense of what it is. And for instance, the major connector, in my humble opinion, major connector for these two is the communication. If somebody's communicating and have, on consistent basis, at least people understand where they're stuck. Like I said before, there are quite a few this generation folks. Back in my time, if we don't communicate, we are out. No chance. There is, even if it is broken English, say it out loud and get it over with it. At least somebody hears your pain, and some guy says,
a problem
"Okay, man, I
shared
have
is a problem aired." That's what we used to
There
say.
you go. Oh, there you go. Now that's not the case. They want to text, or I don't know, whatever. So they want to put it on Instagram or whatever.
They'll stay
So,
stuck. They'll stay
so
stuck if you don't communicate it. Yeah.
So I guess, I want to do, kind of, wrap up this part one podcast. I'm hoping that we'll do again very soon. Is, what's the message to our audiences? How, how it's a process, right? It's not like, let's say if you want to speak some language or if you want to be a good communicator, it's a process. You're not going to be, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time, but you got to start at somewhere. You got to start, otherwise you'll be stuck, right? So how do what's your message, and any instrumentation you can share for our
Absolutely.
youth to, yeah.
I feel very strongly about what I'm going to say next. I've been at quite a few universities speaking recently. Nearly every person came up to me and said that they feel that they're either on the wrong course, they don't like what they're doing, and it's having faith that everything is going to work out perfectly for you. Because there's the jigsaw, right? Life is a jigsaw. You go, you're studying, you're at this college, this university, you learn to study, where is it? You learn to study physics, you learn to study biology, whatever it is. Then you go on and you do something else, you change, you do your different direction, or you then go to further education. But everything is going to kind of fall into place. I started out as an actress, didn't like it, wasn't very good at learning lines, accidentally became a presenter. you know. Then that led me to have the career in television. All of these things all fell into place because I was able to communicate my message. I was, there go that way, I was able to create a worldwide movement, you know. And that's the beauty about life, is just surrendering to what is now and realizing that everything will work out, and having faith in yourself and having faith in your ability. If you believe in what you're doing, if you believe in yourself, then that can massively change how things are going to work out for you. And I think that's the thing, is if you learn to speak up, you be brave, you have the courage to speak up and say, hey, I had to do that. I had to say, listen, I am not good at learning lines. I'm failing. I can't learn lines. I had to openly say that. I was brave, and that led me to flourish with a beautiful career. So owning up what are our strengths, owning up what are our weaknesses. Let's try and navigate and improve. And if not, let's do something else. But life is a jigsaw, and it has a tendency to work out. Even if you don't understand the process now, with later on you soon will, because everything is a journey, and you're getting more information and then more information, and then you can make a decision in the future. If you're feeling stuck, it's just because you don't have the right information yet.
This is fantastic. So, Chelsey, I really, really thank you very much. In fact, I hope audiences are learning a lot of stuff from you. I learned personally, and I wrote down a few things. Like I said, I want this to be a part one of our podcast. Hopefully, we'll do a part two very soon. And I really appreciate everything you're doing. I was so fortunate to meet you in Bay Area, and I got lucky to get your podcast. So you offered this, and then I put my hand.
Because you were able to communicate.
Boom, right there. Boom. The moment my hand was up already. So long story short, I was I was able to get, a lot of people were jealous in the room, by the way. Yes, so it is what. So now I'm going to share this in those WhatsApp groups. All those guys who are in the room, they're going to watch this podcast, just so you know. So
yeah, but
just
I have to give you credit. I have to give you credit, because I was there delivering the confident public speaking, and I said, you've got to take opportunities. You took the opportunity, you asked, and you received. So all credit to you for that.
I think that's just a tip right there for all these folks, whoever is listening. If you have an opportunity, try to grab, and hopefully you'll get it. And that's as simple as that. With that, on that positive note, we are going to conclude today's podcast. I really, really appreciate. I'll see you next time when you come here. Hopefully, I'll be in UK sometime soon. I was there last year in London. Hopefully, next time I'll see you there. Otherwise, whenever you come, please let me know, and we'll be in touch. I'd also try to be in touch with some of our youth programs and see if it makes sense to you, and maybe we can discuss further.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and I wish everybody a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are listening in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.